didn't clap this episode.
Wow.
Probably late. Fuck it. We're rolling. We're live. Welcome to the Progress Over Everything podcast.
Last time we said we were going to never do a podcast again.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're back.
What happened? Changed our minds.
No, I just don't. I think, we were just joking. We're jokesters.
I feel like I should tell you something.
What?
A couple episodes ago, when you were wearing the buffalo hide.
Yeah.
Did you hear that episode?
No. Oh, you didn't. You guys do that all the time. Like, you don't record audio and stuff, right? You screw it all up.
Do you know what it was that time?
What?
This is actually kind of funny now that we're past it.
Okay.
When you left the room, I was sitting in here, and it's on recording and all, and I'm like, I'll play with the soundboard until he gets back. I'll be like, I'll play with the voices. I'll make myself sound like a robot. And then I hit the robot button and talked into the mic. I changed your mic to robot for the rest of the episode.
Oh, really? So it wasn't that the mics were off.
No, the mics record it. Maybe we could just insert that clip in here of when you come back in with the buffalo hide.
Wow.
That is what it is?
I did not expect that.
That wasn't in yesterday's video. I watched yesterday's video and this wasn't in it. That's aggressive.
I re-edited yesterday's video and re-put it up.
Oh, so it wasn't that the mics were off. It was
you were recorded in robot voice the entire episode.
Did
from
it
that
sound
point.
cool?
No, it was ununderstandable. I don't know if that's a thing, but
okay.
Yeah. So sorry for the technical
That's
issues
fine.
there. I saw Max Tuning commented. He was like the first one to
Glad we
comment.
have 3 people in the room right
Yeah.
now, or
Well,
4 people in the room.
So
and we
to
still
make
can't.
it even funnier is the beginning of that episode. You complimented me on how good I was using the soundboard.
Okay,
and then
you get no more compliments.
And then we were like, we don't need headphones. I got this under control. If we would have had headphones, we would have known robot voice the whole time.
Yeah, I saw that. I was somewhere and I listened to it.
You were away, and I was like,
and my first thought was like, is all the audio always this bad?
No.
I thought we were a bunch of professionals.
And then we were gonna use the real audio and then transition into the mic audio, but then it was like then the notice is gonna be so contrasting that people will think it's fucked up. So we were like, let's just ride it out.
So, is it working now?
Yeah, I hope it's working. And I sound
Gage
like a
said
robot,
it with
right?
confidence.
He had headphones on. He knows what's up. We got it under control.
All right. So we have your garden gnome here.
Jerry.
Is that the actual name?
Just thought of that name. Like literally.
Oh, so there is no name. It's
No.
just.
I don't know. These motherfuckers are already going for $600 on eBay.
So you're gonna leave this to your daughter? Let me see it.
Yeah,
I
check
won't
that
break-
thing
I
out. It's
won't
got
break it.
some girth to it.
This guy needs to. It's like, it's a Santa Claus gnome with a different outfit on. It's not really creative.
It's sick.
Yeah, but that's just like they took Santa Claus.
There
There's
was-
his like Santa Claus bag on, and then they put a hat on him, and then they're like, "Let's sell this." Look, he even has like elf shoes on.
He does. Now that you're saying it,
It's literally whoever,
they just got him on Temu.
and then dude, and then like the Masters thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is
that looks like it's like a sticker and then
you
like
guys
clear
are
coat or
whoever
something.
buys these, they're getting played.
Me.
You got played.
I like it though.
Yeah, I guess it's
Here
the
it is.
emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
So,
But that's this week, so that's a big deal.
wow, look at that.
It's here already. Can't believe it.
Do you have your outfit picked out for the Masters this weekend?
I think if I kind of want to go with what we talked about yesterday before we left.
Oh, do we? Even
I don't know
talk
if that
about
steals your thunder or were we trying to match?
No, because we'll look like twins from the movie Twins.
I'm Danny DeVito, obviously.
Not obvious.
Oh, generally
Kinda
obvious.
So we'll wear matching outfits. We won't get too much more into it. That, you know what? Do you want to get into that?
Which part?
Because I did a rant about this on my YouTube channel, and people were like, I knew it too.
Yeah.
I didn't film anything that day. I had a really, really bad day. Essentially, I had a really good day. And it's crazy because when I film my day, I forget, because essentially it's a 15-hour work day.
Yeah.
So I'll forget about the first 5 hours, and I watched back to the phone. I was like, I gotta edit this stupid vlog, and I watched it, and it's me in the morning being like, I'm having the best day, blah blah blah, and then I took a 6-hour block of filming because we had some issues, and the issues we had, and we'll just get into them because you guys are probably gonna see them, is I'll take full ownership. I'm spread way too thin. And a lot of times I'm finishing up projects at 10. I mean, you see when I leave, right?
Yeah.
Like, so Austin comes in early.
I disarm the alarm.
And you
set
disarm the alarm, and you see what time I left.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of times that like it's a 5:30 day, 5:30 to 10 p.m.
Yep.
And a lot of my projects, like, and I don't know why I wait, but I'm like ripping. I'm like, when everyone's gone, that's when I'll do these things. So I screwed something up, kind of. I mean,
I didn't know if Drew told you that because we saw it on the computer together, and I was like, fuck.
So essentially, I wanted to change the color of the strings on the joggers and pants, right? Because we've always sort of had these. They're nice. They're nice, but they're like a shade off of the color that I want, because we're gonna move forward with this gold accent color. And I had the Pantone on there, and one of the problems is what I do is I send Drew screenshots.
Yeah.
And I'll send him a screenshot as I'm working to make sure that, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And then eventually I put the real files in there. But because I'm jumping around from design to video to logistical work to talking to models to uploading, I'm just doing too many different things. And I had the Pantone on there. And long story short, I didn't specify what the Pantone was for. So they, it's a gray area thing, right? They grabbed the Pantone and they're like, this is khaki.
Yeah.
And it's 100% not our khaki color. We've been running our khaki color for 5 years, and they dyed all of our fabric gold. So when we got our final samples done, our shoot samples, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't need to sample the products anymore because we've already done them. And we added a brown, and then we were experimenting with a couple different camouflage colors for the pants, for the joggers. And we essentially just got golden pants and golden shorts. And the shorts are rad.
Shorts are dope.
Like it's enough where this summer, like, I'm gonna wear gold shorts, and it's a vibe, dude. It's 100% a vibe. The pants are too much. They are 100% too much. Now, that being said, they did screw up some other things on the pants.
Yeah.
That wasn't my fault. I don't know why. I mean, it's just, I think when you're working with this many products, we should have a very specific apparel designer that's in charge of all of it. But instead we have me who is doing everything. And yeah, they're bright gold pants. And I think if we wear them to the Masters, they're going to work great.
They're on brand for the Masters.
Everyone at the Masters is going to be like, where do I get those pants?
And then when you're watching on TV, you're going to be like, whoa, I see them.
And when you see us on TV, you're going to be like, whoa, look at those guys. They're
pants.
Awesome. But in real life application, like, so I wore them with 5 different shoes. I wore them throughout the day. I was having a bad day too, because I got some other really bad, just business stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially what business is. And I did my coaching call the other night. I explained it. A lot of people focus on business being, if you solve the customer's problem, you make money. And that's essentially what it is. You find a customer, you find a problem in the marketplace. Like Uber was like, taxis suck, we'll solve the problem, and then they become Uber, right? But the other half of that coin is you solve the problem for the customer, and then you create a business, and then realistically all a business is solving more problems, right? And a lot of those problems aren't fun problems. So we get hit with sourcing problems all the time where, manufacturers do something weird, even if we have it dialed. We have other problems where I create a problem. Like now we have however many pairs of golden pants that we're going to figure out. Now, once again, it's not hard to figure it out, right?
Yeah, I think we've already kind of figured it out.
We can, the original sample of them, they're essentially the same exact thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think even that pair is like my original sample. And the way I made it was like, wow, these joggers are amazing. What if I just cut these into shorts?
Yeah.
So I rough cut them into shorts and I started wearing them, and everyone was like, whoa, those are sick. So we're essentially just going to cut the pants into shorts, and it's going to be fine. But it's still like a logistical thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to delay everything and whatever. And I feel stupid, right? But that's what business is. It's solving a problem for a customer And then it's just creating more problems.
Yeah.
And then as you scale and as you get bigger, you create SOPs that then make things easier and consistent. But then you also create new problems as you get into uncharted territory. So I needed that check, I think. I needed like a little check that had real consequences, you know, and I think that's one of the cool things about life is if you take consequences serious and if you take ownership, it like cleans everything else up.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people don't take ownership, and I think I don't want to get political or anything like that, but I think that's the big problem with the world right now is like no one really wants to take ownership. They want to go protest. They want to do this and be like victim, 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 but they don't want to truly take ownership over what's happening and work with the tools that they have. And I think when you learn how to do that, you know, business and being a creative and excelling at things, that's when that all starts.
Yeah. I think too, a lot of when it comes to ownership, maybe a lot of people sometimes don't take ownership because they don't think they can have an effect on what's actually happening.
Yeah.
So like, well, if I can't affect it, but at the end of the day, you can always affect your world, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's
your
like
perspective.
a big breakthrough thing.
Yeah.
We have a model in town, Emily Fenton, and I was talking to her, and she's young, man. She's 25. She's doing pretty well. She's 26. But I took her out to the North Fork last night to shoot. So we had an hour of driving together.
Yeah.
And she was asking me like really cool questions, right? Like she was asking me about marriage. She was asking me about starting business. She was asking me about like sponsorships and just all these different things that like apparently I'm an expert in. Like I've been doing it forever. And she was asking about like the start of all this and like the start of Flag and like, well, how did you start doing that? Or like, when did Dana start becoming famous or win Olympia or whatever? And I went back and I was like, honestly, like up until I think I was 26, I didn't feel like I had control over my life. Like I knew you could pick which car you bought, right? Like you had a choice there.
Yeah.
And then I knew that you could kind of decorate your house how you wanted. And I could kind of dress kind of however I wanted. But I thought there was this false expectation of me going to this office where I had to wear like this. And I thought there was all these rules for life. And I also, you know, and then I had the things that I could manipulate, right? Like I could choose where we went to dinner. I was like, I lift weights, so I'm going to have more muscles. But there was like this little veil of life that I couldn't break through to take control over. And it was when I like started the brand. It was like, I think I'm going to start selling things online. And it was that first weekend. And I sold 3 tank tops for $25 a piece, $75. And that's when like everything clicked.
Yeah.
And when that door opened, all of a sudden, like every single door started to open where it was like, whoa, if I can do whatever I want here and I just put effort in, I can do whatever I want here. And all of a sudden it was like, well, anything's possible.
Yeah.
And I heard that growing up. I heard anything's possible. But until I started doing it for myself, I didn't realize it.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, I mean, it could be a lot of the way you're brought up, right? Like I was brought up, we lived in the same house. My parents still live in the same house. They drove the car until it exploded, all those things. So in my mind, it's like, well, whatever house I buy, cool, I'm living here forever. My car I have until it explodes. And then you talk about this a lot in CCV, like the permission slip to do something, the permission slip to be like, even though I just got my Tacoma and I'm not wild about it, I can buy a new car today. I can trade it in, or
you could have that car for a month and then get rid of it. But
and then doing that for like the first time on like starting with small things and then kind of graduating or whatever, that's the big thing where it's like, oh, I can to a certain extent do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And control at least my world around me.
Yeah, and I think that it's hard, man. You have to see other people. It's a mixture. You have to see other people doing it, and then you have to try it yourself, and then you start to learn that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. That's a cool thing about like the cool and positive and negative to the world right now. Like seeing people do so much is the world prior to social media, you didn't get to see. You only knew the news or what you were shown on TV. You didn't get to see like other real world applications and a lot of variety to know like, oh, I'm more than what I just see around me. And I think that's a big like kind of breakthrough moment for people.
Yeah, that's done a lot of really, really good things. It's also done a lot of really bad things, right?
Probably
because
more than
you can watch you can watch people and learn from them and take inspiration, but you can also take inspiration from like fucking losers.
Well, you can do that, and you can also watch people and like kind of feel defeated about it. Like kind of see
That's
what
true.
other I
That's
think
true.
and I think more often than not it might be that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like fuck, I'm worthless. Look at this person, their life, they're doing this, they're doing all these things, like what am I doing?
Yeah.
I think that's like a trap that a lot of people can it's almost easier to fall into that because then it's like, well, this is my life. I'm just dealing with it. Instead of the part of taking action, taking risks, and trying to make all these moves to make it better, it's easier to just be like, victim.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, obviously scary.
Yeah, I mean, but that all just comes back to doing the work, right?
Yeah.
Like, Emily and I were talking about, she was talking about like, she was just asking questions. It was weird, man. It was fun, like a kid asking questions. And she was like, so how much do you think like a couple needs to make like to have a kid and still live an exciting life? And I was like, that's such a, it's such like a question that I would have had back then, right?
Yeah,
and it's like,
100%.
Well, you can make $50,000 a year and have a sick life.
Yeah, it starts by defining
it just depends.
exciting.
It depends what you're into, right? And I think that, you know, based on who I travel with, like if I go with one of my friends, he Googles what's the most expensive hotel in Nashville, and it's like, yeah. And then like I'll go somebody somewhere else, or I'll go by myself, and I'm like, I just want to be in the heart of everything. Yeah. And I'll get the cheapest hotel room because I don't care, right? And I think it comes down to like what you really want to make out of your life. And like I had something last night, right? So last night on the shoot, I drove my brother's Tacoma, and he has a 2002 Tacoma, which I grew up driving a 98 Tacoma. And dude, it has like roll windows, like everything is just, it's simple. Yeah. Like it's the most simple truck. And coming from a Raptor, right, which the Raptor has everything. Like it has every single camera, you know, everything. And seeing like the vast difference, it's like I could picture my life now that I've done everything being like, yeah, I drive a 2002 Tacoma with roll up windows. Yeah. Like the simplicity of it, right? But both trucks would have got me out there last night. Yeah. You know, but one truck's $100,000, the other truck is $10,000. And I think that it really just comes down to like what experiences are you chasing, right? You know, I think if you want to go somewhere, it's like, yeah, you can fly first class. You can fly private for $70,000. You can fly first class for $2,000, or you can take like a really exciting road trip there in a $500 Honda Civic. It's like you can still generally do all the same things. It matters what your quality of life is. And I think, again, that's something I cover in the coaching group, which is like lifestyle creep, you know, which is like to essentially pay for my lifestyle right now, like how bloated I am, you know, with like I have airplane insurance to pay for. I have insurance on cars to pay for that I don't drive. I have, you know, real estate, like essentially insurance, property tax on property that isn't doing anything. Yeah. Like it starts to grow. And that goes back to that like mo money, mo problems thing, right? But it's all like how you really want to define your lifestyle. I know we've had people that worked here that like they come get a job, I give them a camper and they live in a camper on the property, and like they're just like, yeah, I love life. I don't even have a car and I love it. Yeah. And it's like, fuck. Like I am the opposite. You're living in my camper. Yeah. You know? So I think that's like an impossible question to answer. It's like, well, you got to define your lifestyle and what you really want. Yeah. And like, do you want experiences, or do you want things, or like, do you want to retire your parents? Like, what is it? But it was a lot of really good conversation last night. It was cool.
It's sometimes like refreshing to have conversations, not saying she doesn't know anything, but her asking about like starting the brand, like maybe she doesn't have this super background knowledge of the brand, the early days. So the questions are almost better in a sense of like they come from a place of like pure curiosity, where like other people might be scared to ask you like those questions because it would show that they don't know. Yeah. And then it kind of makes you think like, damn, I've never been asked that this way. Yeah. Which then changes the whole
And I think that's where like mentorship goes back to, right? Because I think that you have inspirations to look at. Like you can look at the internet, and the internet's going to show you all this shit. and then they're going to tell you that like, hey, you can make $10,000 a month if you buy this or sign up to this thing, right? But I think through mentorship, like she gave me a number last night. I don't know how much of this conversation I should be talking about, but I'll leave it very vague. She gave me a number last night where she was like, hey, I want to make this a month. And I was like, easy. Like I could get you like, yeah, do this, this, and this, and you're there. And it's like a number that if I would say, most people would be like, oh my God. But it's like, I can see it clearly, right? Because I've done it. I've done it with Dana. I know how to work with sponsorships. I know what brands want. We own a brand. We know what the perfect athlete would want. I'm like, if you just did this, this, and this, like, yeah, you would double your income. And she's like, wait, why do you make it sound like it's so easy? I'm like, because it's fucking easy. Like it's an easy world right now. But if you're doing it from someone who hasn't done it or doesn't know how to do it or is just trying to sell you a course, that's where it gets a little confusing. Yeah. So no, it was a good convo. And it was also really, really rad driving a very, very simple truck.
Oh, I get one now.
I took it home last night and got in it this morning and drove it to work. And I was like, man, this thing is so simple. Like backing up into the parking spot and not having a backup camera.
Yeah. Like, legit like turning around and
no, it forced me to just use my mirrors.
Yeah.
And I think that's a thought of mine, right? Like it's one of the reasons I chose to live in Montana is like, I just want things a little bit harder, you know? I think that when everything's handed to you, when Uber Eats shows up every day and you don't have to prep your food and, you know, you don't have to build a relationship with a lot of the processes. Yeah. Right. And I think that I like the relationship with the process, which is another reason why my life's so complicated is because like I like the relationship with the process. So I want to be the ones hands-on designing. I want to be, you know, if I have an opportunity to shoot, I want to shoot, but
doing farm shit. Like you could easily pay someone to take care of 100%, all those responsibilities.
100%. Yeah. I could simplify everything, but like, I know if I simplified everything, I would just make it more complicated again, because more than anything, I'm passionate about processes. I'm passionate about building. I'm passionate about the journey. And if I have the opportunity to like stick my head in that, I'm going to do it. Yeah. I just need to figure out like which parts I want to stick my head into. Yeah. So yeah, it was fun to drive, man. It was really, really fun to drive. And the biggest thing I wished is I wished it was manual, you know, because just add that extra layer of like, yeah, I'm fully in control of this car. And that's another reason I like manuals. But yeah.
Damn. All right. So that was last night. You got shot, did a bunch of
that was
stuff
last
out there.
night. Yeah, I was enjoying myself and I like being out there, as Jordan knows. So I found myself just like spending too long at locations and then driving further out. And then by the time I realized it was late, I was like, oh fuck. We're like an hour away from my house right now. Yeah. So I got back pretty late. And then same thing. It's like I have a hard time shooting or making content and not just processing right away.
Well, it's fresh.
Like, so I don't process the next day or let it sit for 2 days. So yeah, unfortunately I was up until.
Yeah. I saw the text messages this morning when I woke up.
I texted you.
I was like, damn, I have 15 notifications. What happened?
I was texting you as I sat down to start working last night. Yeah. So it was a late night, but feel good.
All right. Well, it'll all be worth it when you're at the Masters this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And I think that's another reason, right? Like I like the lifestyle. Like Emily was asking me about, she's like, wait, so like why do you do 15-hour days? I was like, haven't you seen my travel schedule? Like, I was like, I've been everywhere this year already. Like I've taken more trips this year than most people take in 10 years. To nicer places. And it's like, it's not like I'm like driving over to go to Spokane. Like, it's like, no, I think I've been in Hawaii twice this year. Yep. Been in Mexico like 3 times. Like I travel hard. So when I come back, I work hard and I want to get the most out of every single day. Like we don't know when we die. So like, I want every single day to either be like insanely productive or insane adventure or whatever. So I like, I don't want to watch Netflix at night, man. Yeah. Like going home, because the same thing, before I realized I was in control of my life, that's what I did. Mm-hmm. Like the routine was I would get out of QVC at 4:00. I would drive home. I'd be home by 5. Dana would have food ready for Drew and I, which was like, she would make so much food and we would eat a little bit. And then we would watch whatever show was on TV, which was like Law and Order.
Dexter,
We'd
fucking
watch.
Sons of
No,
Anarchy.
this is way back in the day.
Okay.
So this is like Law and Order. We'd watch like 2 episodes of Law and Order. Then we would go to the gym and train, and then come home, and then watch more TV and eat the rest of the food. And then that was just the night. And like looking back, it's like, damn, dude. Like my early 20s, like I was going through the fucking motions, right? Like.
It depends on how you look.
It depends on how you look at it, but it's like blessed with what I know now, where it's like you can build an empire, you can experience things, like you can go really, really hard every single day. And I wasn't doing that because I didn't know it was an option.
Yeah.
Right. Like I didn't know. I would go out and we would do car stuff on the weekends, but that was kind of it. Like I was like, well, no, I work today, and then tonight I eat and go to the gym.
I mean, that kind of opens up the conversation of one of the most, controversial campaigns that we did or you did with Flag was the balance and sleep.
Yeah.
So, like, do you need the balance of, does someone need to go home and watch TV or have that disconnect from work to balance out or offset? And that's where it all becomes like very individual. Like, I just started watching TV again recently, just because, like, cool, that's my creative way of getting some input of, like, I'm going to watch this movie that's known for its cinematography or this series or this, just to kind of get my brain thinking.
I think at the same point in time, you're very specific with that. And you're also in a different situation.
Like, I'm big, like, pro video games because I think it helps boost creativity. The right ones boost.
Well,
so it's like that
you have, like, the cheat code to it because you don't do anything that is... like brain melt.
No.
Right? Like you don't death scroll or brain melt.
Right.
And I learned that by asking you questions about like, hey, did you see this on the internet?
I'm always like, no.
And like, that's part of my problem is I'm on the internet to try to see what everyone else is doing, see trends and stuff like that. And I run into shitty trends.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you don't watch a show just to be entertained.
Right.
You know? And I don't either, you know? And even like on an airplane, like I can't work on airplanes.
Too small.
So yeah, right. I also get like really drowsy for some reason.
I just enjoy kind of sleeping on airplanes.
So I watch movies, but I specifically pick shows that make my brain work a certain way.
Yeah.
Right. So like, right now I need to be a fucking machine. So I'm watching House of Cards again.
Mm-hmm.
Because like House of Cards, like the whole time, it's just like the anxiety and the pressure that comes from it, and they're always just like fucking ripping. It's like, oh, I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah.
And I'll get through House of Cards, and you know, next thing I watch is like this summer I'll probably revisit like Peaky Blinders, or I'll revisit what's another good show but like I watch big series where I know what it's gonna make me feel like.
Yep.
Right. And that's what I watch on airplanes. Dana's the opposite. She just watches like murder. And it's like horror and murder. And I'm like, so what does this provoke out of you that then translates to your business or life and makes you want to do better? She's like, nothing. I just like murder.
Which
I'm
is
like,
sometimes okay.
which is fine, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of where I'm like giving you some props, is because when you do partake in things like that, like I know they're very intentional.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people miss too. Like everything you consume is going to have an effect on you.
Yeah.
Right? Like every substance that you put in your body is going to have an effect on you. Every conversation you have, like it's all inputs.
Yep.
And then you might not realize how those inputs come out, but they're going to come out.
Yeah.
They're going to form you and mold you the way that they are. And I remember for a little while, when we first started the athlete program, right? I remember myself looking for like female models, and that world gets so messy so quick, right? Because girls are fucking wild on the internet. And I remember my explore page, like at one point in time, like I would open it up and I'm like, this used to be cars, and now it's like half naked fitness girls.
Yeah.
And I remember that's when I was like, I don't want to see this every day. Yeah. So I went through and I like purged a bunch of people I followed. And then I stopped looking at Instagram. I remember I made rules for myself, but I think the average person doesn't realize like all of these different inputs, it changes your life.
Yeah.
And it might take a little while, but it changes your life. So the shows you watch, and so if you're watching like The Bachelorette, it's like figure out how that's having an effect on you and how that's translating to life and if it's beneficial. And I think you can still relax and watch TV, but watch movies or watch things that you're really getting something from.
Yeah.
And it aligns with your goals in life. And that's how you can start like maximizing things.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you talked about there, like being mindful of the input that's coming in and the effect it has on you is a big switch for someone because it might be having an effect that you subconsciously don't realize. So knowing it has an effect allows you to pick. So like the other night I got home and I was kind of like stressed out and we put the baby down, that whole thing. And Nadia asked me if we wanted to watch The Bear. That's like the show we're watching right now for similar reasons to like you watching House of Cards. It's like high energy, high pace, like running business, kitchen, like the dude's a boss, all these different things. And I was like, I don't know if I can handle it tonight.
Yeah.
Because I know the way it's filmed is like so high energy that I was like, I can't watch that before bed. Based on how I feel at this moment.
You know why you're watching it, right?
Yeah.
I do the same thing with Dana is she wants to watch things like, I cannot watch this right now. Like I need to be asleep in an hour and this is going to do something to me.
Yeah.
Right. But she'll just watch it and fall asleep. And like she watches it and if murder show that just gives me anxiety, I then start to think about business and it ramps up anxiety in business. Yeah. And it's like, I also, that's why I can't really watch TV at night.
One thing that's been like really fun for me is, this kind of switched for me when I moved back east and started listening to more sports radio because I was just driving a lot, is looking at sports from a perspective. And this might sound stupid to people, but when you're a kid or you're watching sports purely for entertainment, it's just purely entertainment. But watching it from a business perspective is so different.
Yeah.
Like hearing about all these different things. Like the other night, Ovechkin broke Gretzky's goal record. So like following that in real time and watching all the games and how they were promoting it. And they're talking about like when he breaks the record, they're only going to allot 15 minutes of shutdown time for the game and all these different things. It's like, oh yeah, the NHL, all of these teams are individual businesses that are designed and need to make money.
Yeah.
So it comes to all these little decisions. And when you're growing up playing sports or you're just watching it for the hell of it, you maybe forget about that. But that's like kind of got my interest really back into sports from a business perspective.
The reason I go to the Masters.
Yeah.
Like the Masters, I don't care about golf.
Yeah, you probably couldn't name 3 golfers.
No,
right
I
now.
don't know 3 golfers.
That's
like,
not a joke. That's legit.
I have no idea, right? But what I'm excited to go there is one, like the hospitality suite that we're attending, like seeing how they're running, seeing how people are interacting, seeing the merch that they're selling, the experience that they give, the upsells that they give, like the whole business. I'm going to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
But the whole business side of it. And then going to the Masters and seeing all the little things they do and how they market and manipulate and brand and just everything. And they get grown rich men that act like Taylor Swift fans. And it's like, whoa. And like, I am there to 100% pay attention to the backside, watch the business aspect, enjoy myself.
Of course.
But see just the different marketing plays. Like if they did add food, it's like, okay, how are they going to do this?
How are they rolling it out?
Seeing how their staff acts, like seeing how they do line management, seeing like everything, watching how the course is like, I love it from a business aspect.
And they added a couple cool things this year. Like this year, they added like today's coverage and yesterday's coverage on the range. Now that is so good, and I think they're getting an understanding that people want to know more about information and the data behind things. It would be like if we were doing a fitness workout and we're like, all right, we're talking about the mTOR fucking receptors that the bicep releases. They're adding in, you can watch every player's range session with ball flight data.
Yeah.
So, like, people are geeking out about it. So, like, yesterday, the big talks was like, Max Homa hit 270 shots yesterday. What is he doing? Is he looking for a new swing thought? So, like, looking at that from a business entertainment standpoint and actually, like, understanding it is, like, is really sick.
And see, I love that on the backside to see how the golf club manufacturers are going to capitalize on that, right? So, if someone's using TaylorMade and they do that, how they then take that information, because there's the obvious stuff that I think people see, which is the marketing of like what people are going to wear this weekend. That's very Fashion Week, simple stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, he broke the norms by wearing this. And it's like, okay, we're top level.
Yeah.
But then if like you go under that and it's like, okay, with this new data, how are they going to use this to market new clubs, and how is this information going to translate to the clubs? I also like watching it from an experience where seeing the people that don't realize it, seeing the people that don't realize how all of this ties together, which is when we get on the plane and if we're wearing anything Masters related and somebody else is waiting for a plane, how they come up to you. Because once again, you take all of this intel, all of this information, all this inspiration from shows, and you should be tying it back to your life. So when I tie it back to my life, it's like, okay, cool. So if two people are wearing Flag Nor Fail and they're waiting for an airplane, what does their connection look like?
Yeah.
So what does our storytelling look like? How do we explain the brand? How do we make these two people that are waiting in an airplane, just like the Masters guy, see someone else wearing Flag Nor Fail, and when they walk up to them, what do they talk about? What's their interaction look like? Which then defines what our YouTube videos and our content looks like, and our email cadences and the verbiage in the emails. And it's like, it's this beautiful, and once again, that's why I get so passionate about the process, is because like most people's like, that guy's wearing Masters, I'm wearing Masters. What's up, man? And they're just like, they bond over it. But there's so much like work that goes in behind that to build up that brand with such a meaning. So when those two customers then run into each other, the interaction they have, what they talk about, it's rad, right?
Yeah.
And people don't see why the connection was built on the backside. They just see it on the front side.
Yeah.
And I love the backside, and that's why I'm so excited to go.
That's what's cool about, like, not saying we're a small brand, but like, let's say in comparison to Patagonia, there's two people wearing Patagonia walking past each other in the airport. Yeah, they're fucking wearing Patagonia. If there's two people walking Flag Nor Fail, I feel like they're definitely saying something to each other. Not
only, but they might exchange phone numbers.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be like, hey, what's your Instagram? And they're going to sort of become friends.
Yeah.
I've had so many people get married, like, or be like, yeah, we got married because I met her through the brand and we realized that we align. You don't meet someone wearing Patagonia and you're like, oh, we're going to be best friends.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, yeah, you just wear Patagonia because it's cool or whatever, right? Like and that's what I love about the like smallness of our brand is if you really like it, like everyone else that wears it, you pretty much identify with them,
Sick.
So yeah, it's fun.
What else we got going on? Oh, we have flags dropping this week with a nice, beautiful flag behind you.
Yeah.
Funded by work and unrealistic dreams.
Yeah, so that was the line that I wrote for the racetrack.
Yeah.
I wrote because I was trying to make like a racetrack. What did we make? I made a racetrack keychain.
Yep.
And I wanted the keychain. It's like an old classic like hotel keychain, right? Like it's cool. And I put the race bear head on it. And I was like, I need to write something. I didn't want to just like write racetrack Montana. And I was like, the fact that we have a racetrack is so, talk about like doing whatever you want in life, like putting in a racetrack. When I explain that to people, they just don't understand. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I kind of just do whatever I want, like whatever. So yeah, I think it says like Flag Nor Fail Raceway. And then it says funded by work and unrealistic dreams. Because normally when I tell anyone anything we want to do, they're like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, yeah, whatever. You don't get it. And then I just really like the line funded by work and unrealistic dreams. I think that I've been putting that on everything recently.
Yeah.
From the minute I wrote it, I was like, this is me.
Yeah.
Like you have to be unrealistic and then you have to do the work. So yeah, it's fun. We got a bunch of fun flags.
Yeah, we have that one.
I snuck a 9/11 flag in there.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out what we're going to call that one.
There's a Porsche flag in there.
They built the shell and it says Porsche flag. And I'm like,
we can't say that. We can't say that. But I mean, it's an artistic rendering of a Porsche. But yeah, I don't think we can say Porsche.
We're dropping 8 flag designs. They each have 2 colors. They'll be, if you're listening to this in real time or in a relevant time, they're free with orders over $75. So you can order just hundreds of dollars worth of stuff and get them all for free. It'd be pretty sick.
People love flags.
Yeah.
People love the flags. When we started making flags, I think there's a bunch of stuff like that in our blind spots that we take for granted.
Like easy stuff that people like.
Easy stuff because I think that's what the brand is, right? The brand's like a reminder.
Yeah.
I think everything we've talked about up to now is generally taking control of your life. And I think that's what the brand is really a reminder of, is like it's not going to be easy, but you can take control of your life.
You can't bypass the work or effort, like honest effort. day in, day out. And then, yeah, you have to at some point dream a little unrealistic.
Yeah.
Because if you dream hitting your goals they get you to the goal, but then like what's past that?
Yeah.
And I think that's like from everything you say and kind of things we talk about, it's the journey of getting there. And I know people talk about this all the time. Once you get there, it's like, cool.
Well, the journey doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's another nugget in there that I think you think happens is you think that when the trophy shows up or you get to the number in the bank account, I think you were there. I think we used to go to the bank together to cash checks, right?
We used to
and I remember the day that I hit a certain number in my bank account.
So do I.
Right. And it wasn't my first goal, but it was a really cool second goal.
Yeah.
And I hit the number in my bank account, and I remember I got the little paper thing, and I was like, whoa, like I never thought I would be here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I shared it with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to frame this.
Yeah.
I'm going to frame this. And I went back to the warehouse.
Damn, I remember this.
I went back to the warehouse, and it was like reaching that goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to the warehouse, and we just had a car accident. The guys had built a 2JZ Celica, right? That build, it was probably $100,000 build total, right? And whatever the fuck, we're not going to get into the details of that, but I think mistakes were made, whatever, who knows. And they had crashed it. And they had crashed it like a week before. And with all the different vehicles, I never really know what insurance is on what. And I have big insurance policies, but sometimes they don't cover very specific cars. So like a 1974 Celica is worth $1,500. We had $100,000 into it.
Yeah.
And I remember I came back with my little receipt of my goal where everything in life was going to be okay. And I made it. And I sat down at my desk, and I remember the guy that worked for me, who was sort of a scumbag. I mean, whatever. But he brought in the scrap receipt for the car. So I just lost $100,000 in the car. Plus, like, it created tons of other issues in them crashing the car and it catching on fire. And he dropped it off and laughed. It's like, well, here you go. And it said $20 in scrap metal. And I remember I had these two pieces of paper that were like the exact same size. One had my bank account that was showing that the brand had finally made it. Mm-hmm. And like I was quote unquote successful. And the other one was just like
a reminder
that the last 4 months of work and hard cost plus employees plus everything plus all the issues crashing the car created was like, you got $20 from that. And it was like, whoa.
And the perspective of like, oh, to you, this is a joke.
And that was the other thing was like, oh, like it framed how he looked at me, which was like, oh yeah, you know, see that dude's bank account? And me, I'm like, I'm going to put all this money right back into the brand and keep growing this so we can all do better. And he was just like, oh yeah, you're rich. Here, you got $20. And I remember that moment and be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. It's not over. And it was just like, again, it was one of those like really just simple reminders that like, oh no, life keeps coming at you, right? And life there is no point where you're just like, I made it. But I mean, there's check marks along the way and there's goals along the way, but by the time you get there, you're going to be a different person.
How dangerous do you think it is to like not have a dream or a goal? You're kind of just like firing.
For me,
yeah,
I would rather die. I would 100% rather be dead.
Yeah.
Because I realize how important that is.
Yeah.
And
when we say goals, we're not talking about like to buy this car or to do this thing.
No, we're talking anything.
Yeah.
We're talking anything. It doesn't matter. But like something that you're pushing towards in life, something that you're working towards, and then at the end of it, you're going to be proud of, and it's gonna push you into new things. I think it's the most important thing. And I think if you've never had goals like that, or you've never had anything you want to work towards, you might not realize it's such an issue, right? It might seem like, oh yeah, I don't know. I'll figure out what I want to do later.
Yeah.
But I think once you realize it, it's like you can't live without it. So no, I think for me, that's why I was like, I don't know. For me, it's the most important thing ever. Like if I lost the drive or the goals, it's like,
What's the reason
yeah,
for doing what you're
fucking
doing?
Die.
Yeah.
You know?
We talk about death a lot on here. I hope we don't die this weekend. God, that would suck.
Oh yeah, because of the plane crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to go to the Masters and come back alive. That's all.
You're
and
really-
eat a tomato pie. I feel so. So this is a reminder for me that the Masters is this week. That's why I wore the hoodie yesterday, because there's just so much going on. Not that there ever isn't or is, but like this week, models coming in, samples arriving, like organizing everything. I keep forgetting, like at the end of this week, it's
I know.
fuck, it's the Super Bowl and I'm gonna be there. It's gonna be
Well, that's
sick.
what I just keep reminding myself. So like, I think that's really important too. That's one of the reasons I travel so much and do things is I have to have anchor points.
To sprint toward.
Like every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right? Where I can just tell myself like, and I already told myself with the Masters, like I'm not going to go off diet. Like I'm going to stay on diet, but
Don't let me
also-
influence you then, because I'm
No, I'm going to try to stay pretty responsible. But like being like, yeah, I just have 5 more days of insane workload.
Yeah.
And then I get to go there. And then I know when I come back, we hit the ground Monday at 1:00 and it's like, yeah, right back to the office.
Yeah.
And I'll work till midnight Monday. Like,
Yeah.
and then it's 2 weeks of that work. And then I go to the UFL fights. And then I come back and it's like, it's every 2 weeks I
Yeah.
have something really cool. But those 2 weeks in between are like, no, bro, like you have wild stuff to do.
That's the big thing, and you talk about it a lot. The color coding your days and like having
Yep.
the days that you know are going to be like, cool, I'm full sprint for the next 3 days. Then I have 2 days that are resetting, and then one victory day Saturday at
Yeah.
the Masters or whatever it is. And looking at your schedule that way, I think allows from like me kind of being back into things and like feeling like I'm still trying to get back in routine, but I feel like I'm close. That is the reminder I tell myself of like, cool, this just what today is. Tomorrow's going to be the same, but I know at the end of the week I have this to look
You have this
forward
day,
to. So
yeah.
like we're pushing toward this day. Like let's take it on the chin right now. Let's make this work and then get to the part where we can enjoy it so that we can.
Yeah. I had the same conversation again last night in the car, which was we were out of service. And when we got back, my phone started loading.
Mhm.
And she's like, did Dana text you? And I was like, no. She's like, no. I was like, no, why would
Yeah, I'm
Dana
working.
text me? And I think color coding the days. So little reference point. Like a big boy work day is a red day.
Yep.
A yellow day, we're using stoplight colors.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
yellow day is like a softer day. And then a green day is the Masters.
Yeah.
So the Masters is a green day for us, right? And then like Thursday is a travel day. So that's kind of going to be a yellow day.
Yep.
And then realistically, like the travel day back should be a yellow day for me, but I'm going to make it a red day because I'm
Yeah.
going to come right back to the office. But if I went home, I'd put it as a yellow day. And one of the reasons I do that, one, is so that I can make sure I don't have too many red days in a row.
Yep.
Because I'll start to make golden pants by accident. The other reason is I have to share that with Dana.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons that relationships fall apart or things don't work is because if 2 people start out with no goals,
Okay.
it's fine, right? They're very compatible. They can sit around and smoke weed all day and it's like, cool. You're both the same person.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have 2 people, one person sits around and smokes weed all day, the other smokes weed all day, and you're compatible, so you fall in love. But then the one person like breaks out of smoking weed all day and starts to really set goals.
Yep.
And they start to get really, really driven. And the problem is you start to pull away from that person.
Yep.
Right. And if you both get goals, you both start going and everyone's like, you're all on the same page. So I think in staying compatible with relationships, like as you evolve, you'll leave friends behind, you'll leave whatever behind. But the big thing that I realized is I not only need to make my goals clear to Dana,
Yeah.
like this is who you're dealing with. And even as I evolve, I'm like, this is what my goals are. And then I show her the calendar to make her aware that like, hey, I am going to be at work all day, every day. I'm going to wake up before like you're still sleeping when I leave the house.
Yep.
And when I get home, you're already asleep like for the next 5 days. And then at the Masters, like there's our green days together.
Yep.
So I think a lot of times what happens with relationships is it having that uncertainty. So like, and that's what she was talking about last night. She's like, what do you mean she didn't text you? I was like, it's only 9:15.
Yeah.
Like, she'll text me good night at 10:30, but she knows I'll be home at 11.
Yeah.
So she knows what to expect. And I think that's the problem in relationships a lot is when you do start to pull apart or whatever, the person that's just smoking weed doesn't know what to expect because you haven't shared your goals. They don't know your work ethic. And every single day is like, so what time are you coming home today?
Right.
Right. And it's like this question. And I think that's one of the cool things about what we have going on is Dana's fully aware that like when we're at the Masters, we're all in enjoying ourselves.
Yeah.
But the week before that, like Rob is maniac red days.
Yeah.
And so I color code it for myself. I also color code it to share it with Dana so she's aware about what's going on.
Which is helpful when you have like a tight circle around you and you're all working together toward a goal, like we all have visibility to your calendar.
Yeah.
So I look at your calendar and I'm like, cool, I know today of whatever projects I need Rob's involvement on, today isn't the day for this. I'll push that to tomorrow. So I think that is important. It's communication.
Yeah. Chelsea is the same thing, is she has full insight of my calendar. So when she books me on calls, she's like, ooh, that's not a day to book. And she understands from more than just if it's filled up.
Yeah.
She understands from like, oh, if he's having a legal meeting for 2 hours, I'm not going to put P&Ls right after it.
Yeah.
So she's able to read that really cool too. So yeah, I think the more visibility and understanding, the better everything meshes together.
Yeah. I'm sure Dana does the same thing with you. Like vice versa.
She knows when to just leave me alone
Yeah.
or when to make a special dinner or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. That's dope.
So it's dope, man.
All right. You want to do the thing that we were going to do? You want to do
Oh,
that
you want me to-
offline? This was a lengthy episode. I feel like it was pretty good.
Well, they can sign off now if they want to. We'll just put it at the end.
Okay, so we'll
All right. So one of the things that we do every once in a while is we do voiceovers.
Yep.
Right. And I think even going back to the social thing in the very beginning, a lot of times people see the polished social content at the end.
Yep.
And one of the things we do is we do voiceovers, and voiceovers take sometimes 2 takes, sometimes 1 take, sometimes 5 takes, whatever. So we actually talked about doing this today, which is we're doing the Max Joggers, and you were like, hey, we need to schedule a voiceover. And I was like, well, we're doing a podcast. What if we just tried to get the audio for the voiceover now instead of like resetting up later and then just doing it live? And now, obviously, it can suck and I can screw it up.
But this is a live.
But it's also cool. It's also like cool insight maybe into the working process.
Yeah, because usually for us, like what we'll do is you'll rip for a little, say a couple sentences, do some things, and then like I'll kind of be listening and then give some key things like, all right, let's touch on that a little bit more. And really like all we're looking to get is a 30-second or whatever piece that can kind of complement this story that we're going to be telling of Max.
It also works when we work back and forth, right?
Yeah. That way it always comes across like more. I think one of the things people do now is like people will be like, I'm going to record this voiceover for this training montage that I did or whatever. And then it comes across like way too just harsh.
Too scripted, yeah.
And then when we sit down to do it, one of the things that we started doing a couple years ago is like a hack is we try to make it not where I'm talking, but conversationally so that it translates like you're talking to a person instead of just being like voiceover time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I had to go down. I was at Redcon, and I had to record a bunch of scripts, and they had a teleprompter, and it was like horrible. I was like, it was reading a teleprompter was like, this is going to translate so robotic. Like, there's no way to make this not translate robotic. But I think this is a good way to do it. How do you want to start? Do you want to start? Do you want to say something like
so like kind of the story we're trying to, you want to talk about the story and then I'll talk about like the key points?
No, we'll
just kind of start going with it.
Let's just take a shot at it.
So I think the big things that like I want to get across.
I think we start with, you say, why are they called the Max Joggers?
Okay.
And then I give context. I explain what we're producing, and then I explain what Max, and then
from there we'll rip on. Yeah. Okay, little.
Yeah, and then if we need to cut it up, we'll cut it up. All right, live voiceover in 3, 2, 1. I don't know. I felt like we should clap.
So Max Joggers.
Max was our first goat. Max was he started our farm process. And the joggers were our first big item that came out, that they were like our big cut and sew item that is still around today. Max is not around today. And when we were naming the joggers, we wanted to name it after something really special, right? So him being the first goat, which is a little play on words, he really had like a big impact on our farm. And just like him, the joggers had such a big impact. I mean, now we're making overalls and things like that. And I think one of the raddest things about Max is we had a mountain lion attack. And I think that I asked myself for a little while, like, why did Max die, right? Like, why would Max be the one that ends up dead? There's so many other little helpless goats. Like, he was the biggest dude. He had horns. And I think it took me a little while to realize, but I was like, oh yeah, he was the one who went towards the mountain lion. Like, all the other goats probably ran and hid, and he just realized that, like, he's the one. I think in life, a lot of times, adversity pops up, and like, no one is going to call and point at you and be like, you're the one to handle this. Like, that has to come internally. And when the mountain lion came, the other goats weren't like, okay, who's going to take it? It was Max was like, no, I'm the one. And I think it comes back to sacrifice. I think it comes back to knowing what you're made of. And unfortunately, we lost him. But again, legacy. One more line.
Yeah, the legacy was what I wanted to kind of prompt you on. I think that the big thing is, like, Max is your reminder of protection, sacrifice, legacy.
That's what it was.
That's the little rip.
Yeah, so Max is my reminder of legacy, of protection, of when things go wrong, not looking around to everybody else and being like, no, I'm the one right now. And we wanted to make an item to name after him. And I think the biggest influence that we've had in the last 7 or 8 years has been the joggers. You know, not only are they the greatest of all time, that we're not changing because they're so dialed, but they just keep showing up.
It's the
close.
Yeah, the impact that Max had on your farm and the impact that the joggers maybe had on the brand, and leaving the legacy behind. So, like, you guys can't go out to the farm now and look at any of the goats without thinking Max.
Yeah.
And, like, he was the first one. He was, like, those little things.
And this is how it works, because essentially you dump it all, but it needs to be under 30 seconds.
Essentially, yeah, the more concise we can get this, the more impactful it's going to be, right? Because, like, the one way I kind of look at always content, voiceovers, all these different things is, cool, this is the story we're trying to get across. The shorter and more efficiently we can get it across, the better. Same thing with a photo. If it's like, if we can tell a really good story in one photo, I'd rather, that's more of an accomplishment than doing it across 15.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Same thing with copy. Like,
all of it.
One impactful word.
Yeah, especially with how everyone's brains work now with scrolling and all that. So, Max, leaving your mark, legacy, a reminder that you are the one every day. You're in control of your life. Take ownership.
Cool. Round 2.
Why Max?
I think Max left the biggest legacy on us, on the farm. It's hard to go out there and look at anything in the farm and not think of Max. And when we were trying to name the joggers, we realized that it's hard to look at anything in our line right now and realize that it didn't spawn from the joggers. They were our first big staple piece that we haven't really changed. I mean, they're just so good. They're the greatest of all time. And Max did the same thing for the farm and for our lives. And in the end, when Max was killed, he stepped up and he knew he was the one. We had a mountain lion attack, and there was so many little goats that could have been taken. So many little helpless goats that are fat and slow, and the most powerful goat died first. And it's because when that time came, no one pointed at him and said, Max, you're the one who has to fight this fight. Max knew that he had to fight this fight. And I think that's a great reflection on life. It's a great reminder of sacrifice, legacy, personal responsibility, accountability, everything. And we encourage everyone to look at themselves, that they're the one that needs to step up now, whatever that is, whether it's raising up your family, whether that's raising up your own standards, but no one's going to help you do it. You are the one. And I think the legacy of him, the impact that he's made on our lives, and the impact that the joggers have made on the brand that have now evolved into overalls is undeniable. Better? There's some extra words in there.
It's very close.
Yeah.
It's probably all in there pieced together. It would be a matter
I think
of
we have to cut a couple little pieces out, but I think it's all there. And I
Okay.
tried to give enough spaces.
Yeah.
And that's how you do a voiceover, ladies and gentlemen. You'll see the edited down version of that last one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to get as fast as possible. The storytelling was a little bit clunky at the end, but I don't think it's too bad.
No, I think it's all in there. I'm cool with it.
All right.
That's it.
That's it. That's a podcast.
Catch us at the Masters with our yellow pants. It's going to be sick.
We're not allowed to take phones in the Masters. So my
Yes.
vlogs are going to be very boring those days.
They can just watch the TV coverage, sign up for ESPN Plus, and just fucking lock in.
What's your promo code for ESPN Plus?
I don't. I pay full price. I'm thinking about upgrading to get rid of commercials, but I'm cheap.
On YouTube?
No, on ESPN Plus, Disney, Hulu.
Oh, yeah.
I have like a bundle thing. It's like an extra $10. I can't justify it yet.
Are you worried about your daughter seeing bad commercials?
No, because it's all like if we put on like Ice Age or Toy Story, it's all like kid commercials. It's more so to go back to watching TV. Like The Bear has commercials in it, and the way that is filmed, like
Doesn't
certain
allow for
scenes,
commercials,
it kind of just interrupts the
How much is
pattern
it?
a little too much. It's an extra $10.
You got to save her that new
But
Tacoma.
I can, for that $10, I can get 4 tomato pies.
Or you can get like 2 Pro V1s.
Yeah. See,
Your priorities are crazy.
big golf guy.
Big golf guy. That's the only golf ball I know. Pro
Yeah.
V1.
It's kind of the best one.
Of course. That's
But-
why I know it.
All right. That's it for the podcast. Flags out this week. Goat joggers and shorts out later this month. Mantra progress
Oh, that's a fun one coming out.
next week.
Did you
depending
see
on
I
when you're
rewrote
watching
all
this.
that text?
No.
Yeah,
Really?
I rewrote. That's all new text I wrote out.
For this specific
I like how I
item, or did you
spent.
do it a couple?
I like how I spent so much time
Honestly, I just
crafting
assumed.
every single one of these words, and you didn't even fucking read it.
To be honest, I thought it was the text that we've just been using.
No,
When did it change?
for this. Look how long it is. I had to add a whole nother block of text. I spent so much time writing. You know I can't
Yeah.
write. I'm like a little illiterate.
Yeah, it's different.
It took me like an hour to write, and then I had to have Drew check on it to make sure that, like, don't look at it too hard. You'll probably find a misspelling. You don't even notice these things, dude. See, this is the problem.
Now
is
we're making me look
I spend all night designing. And I'm here burning the midnight oil. What are you doing? Pressing sounds.
Record scratch.
I'm here burning the midnight oil. You just turned me into a robot.
No.
Burning the
want me to?
midnight oil, writing copy, super impactful copy. Like that is mantra copy. And then we're here and we print it, and then you get it and you're like, you don't even look at it.
Blew my own spot up.
Man, I'm heartbroken.
Honestly, that just hasn't. I'm not on that project.
You know what the funny part is? No one here has read that. Did you guys read that?
No.
No.
I mean, I feel like I kind of get a pass because I
So
wrote
this
the
goes-
original version of
This
it.
goes to the customers. Can you guys please read that? It like matters a lot to me. I try really, really hard to put meaning into everything, and no one fucking reads anything.
I noticed the 10 under it, wondering what the 10 was.
God, you're making it worse, Gage.
I know, and he wondered what the 10 was. And I was like, it's the year the brand's. Fuck. We
All
need
right.
to pull it together here.
Good night, Dana.
Good night, Dana. Crickets.